Let's talk about the menagerie of the day. Breanna Taylor case. Reopened, and people have mixed opinions, thinking it's a political, scheme to drum up racial pains once again. But what the Department of Justice did was they reopened her case and they charged 3 officers for the death of Breanna Taylor. So let's see if we can get some
The
listeners.
Justice Department hitting 4 current and former Louisville Metro Police officers with federal charges connected to Breanna Taylor's death. Attorney General Merrick Garland detailed these charges earlier. Take a listen.
The federal charges announced today allege that members of the Place-Based Investigations Unit falsified the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant of Ms. Taylor's home, that this act violated federal civil rights laws, and that those violations resulted in Ms. Taylor's death.
So they violated civil rights laws, which are, made up by the government. And this is why they went after him. This, you know what? This seems... Okay, so let's look at Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice was shot like 2 seconds after the police noticed that he was waving around a fake gun, and I don't think he was waving it around. But he had a fake weapon in his hands. They didn't know it was fake. They didn't go through procedures to go stop, put the weapon down, and, they just got out the car and they blew him away. And then it, went before the DOJ, and they said that the officer who shot this 12, 13-year-old boy, he said the officer wasn't acting willful. He didn't mean to do it. All right, so when it comes to, we got something in front of the DOJ, I don't get excited. These 4 police officers who went to a judge, falsified a warrant, judge signed off on it. They were looking for somebody who wasn't even there. They had the wrong address, and the guy who they were looking for was already in jail, and they knew he was in jail. It sounds like they meant to go after her, but she committed no crime. And they probably knew that she had another boyfriend. I mean, they knew a lot. Look at the other 2 no-knock warrants we've seen recently. On both occasions, the same thing happened. They busted in on a guy sleeping on the couch. He starts firing. Bang, bang, bang. You broke in his house. You didn't go boom, boom, knock on the door. Hey, we're coming in. You knocked, busted in. He starts firing shots. You go, you kill this guy, find out it's the wrong guy. Oh, you guys are my hero. Same thing happened a week later. It's the wrong address. You guys know it's the wrong address. You bust in anyway and kill another man. You kill a man. You know it's the wrong address. You did the same thing. This is just murder. This is 100% bloodthirsty murder. This is gang violence is what it is. It's nothing less. And you're trying to pawn it off like you're doing us a great service by taking criminals off the street when you go to the wrong houses and just brutally kill somebody who had nothing to do with anything. They just lay on the couch by themselves, sleeping, and then they defend themselves, what they're supposed to do, start shooting at you. Breanna Taylor's boyfriend was defending himself, and he shot, and then you tried to sue him because he was defending his household. They don't know what's going on. She gets hit 28 times. And everybody agrees the man was in his house with his woman, and somebody broke in. He didn't know who it was. He picked up his protection, which he is legally able to have, and he starts firing. And it's, let me kill you, but you can't kill me. Ain't no fun when a rabbit has the gun now, is it? Now, if that guy would have jumped out with an assault rifle that he legally had and, killed a bunch of you, all 4 or 5 of you, then it would have been, oh my God, the police, they were great guys. They had families. Will Morford, I'm that morning. No, because you knew. You knew. I could see walking into somebody's house, or I could see a no-knock warrant if you know that criminal. For one, you knew he wasn't there. For two, you knew the address was the wrong address. For three, two of you went into the garage and tried to hide evidence. If you guys were so much in the right, then none of these things would have happened. You lied to a judge. Like, no, it should have went like this. We know this person is there. You went to the post office and asked the post office worker were there packages coming in and out of the house. He said no. You lied on the warrant and said, you went to the judge and said there's packages coming in and out of this house. It was a blatant lie. 100% lie. You knew it. Dude was already in jail. Now, if there was packages coming in the house, dude was not already in jail. She did not have a man there who committed no crime and this activity. You knew that was going on. You had surveillance of it. Everything led you to believe that it's going on, and you went in, boom, to stop some drug deal or whatever it is, and nobody died, and 2 people got arrested. Well, 1 person got arrested, the guy you're looking for. I'm all for that. You guys found a bunch of drugs, that was flooding the streets and doing bad. I'd have been like, good job, police. But no, you went in there guns blazing, shooting through people's walls. You shot a woman 28 times, and you had the wrong person's house just because she dated the guy at one time who she turned her life around. Here's what kills me. This woman completely turned, she's like, I don't want nothing to do with this guy. He's bad news. I'm going to get a new guy. I'm going to, I'm a career woman. I have a stable job. We're good, hardworking, everyday Americans, and the police bust in and kill you. And then act like they did nothing. And we're supposed to think that these guys who murdered this woman is a hero. Please, America, no. Even the Bible talks about how this was going to happen. People are going to say that, wrong is right and right is wrong. You guys are celebrating somebody, these guys who just committed murder and killed a defenseless woman. She had no weapon. She's minding her business. She educated, went to school, learned how to, whatever with the ambulance or whatever she was, a medical tech or whatever. And she deserved to die, and people are trying to reason. We didn't say, oh, well, she was a criminal. What did she do that was so criminal? It just kills me how people try to reason with this and try to reason for the cops that murdered somebody. Listen, I keep telling you guys this over and over and over. Nobody's getting away with anything. You can't shed blood and think that the God of heaven is going to bless you. You can't do it. What's going on? Oh, this right here? Just a little something I done did. I went to, I guess they're Middle Easterners. I don't know what they are. I think they're Middle Easterners. And every time I go to that side of town, which is like once every now and then, I go see these guys. They're all ran by all guys. And, they speak to themselves in their own language. But they do a great job on my hair. So I don't know if they, I don't know. All I know is I go in there. Yeah, I go in there. They say what they were going to say, do my hair, and then boom, hit me with the boom, bam. And I tip them good. I give them 20% tip and hey, you know what I'm saying? Thanks a lot, homies. I don't know what y'all saying, but hey, I don't know if they don't even like black people, but I know that they greet me with a smile and everything's good. So yeah, I go to them every now and then. And now that I'm, like this, I think I'm gonna keep this for a while. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna stay like this. And I trimmed it up today a little bit. So yeah, how you doing? You doing all right? Yeah. Thought about making some more sports stuff because you guys don't seem to like when I make my music, but you do like, the sports stuff. So I thought about getting back to that. But anyways, I'm just pissed about the Breanna Taylor, and I think they're getting back to it. And I was thinking about her and Sandra Bland. And I think they're going to open a case of Sandra Bland too. I think the DOJ, listen, Biden just, he just gave, what is it, a $35 million, $35 million to the police because of the, let me read this. Somebody said, I could be mistaken, but they're giving, 37 million? Where's a billion? It's got to be million. To the police department. I think they're going to start adding on more cops because there's been so many robberies. Now, I think Breanna Taylor should get her justice. But these guys out here committing these robberies, it's really, really bad. It's so bad. Yeah, it's 37 billion new police fund. But robberies and killings and shootings and all that is so bad now because, you want to defund the police, and so people are like, okay, fine. And California's got that law now where if it's under $1,000, they're not going to arrest you for it because everything is so blatant. Car theft is up. People are robbing you when you get to they're robbing old men, ladies, children, women. There's nobody who cannot get the business. And this is all over the world. So I've been watching your channel since you won. Congratulations on your YouTube success. Keep up the good work. Thanks. It is true that she was part of it. Well, what was true was not her boyfriend was. And they already arrested her boyfriend. So, look, women like bad boys. They like their energy. They have high energy signatures. But when it all starts to fall down, when the police get to, coming after you because you're associated, a lot of these women are like, I'm not a ride or die chick like that. This guy was already in jail. They already arrested the guy who was drug trafficking or whatever. And they were doing this at a different address. So what she did was she was like, okay, he's gone. I have nothing to do with him. I'm going to move from that address and I got a new boyfriend. So she changed her life. Well, they still figured, hey, you have something to do with this kind of lifestyle still, and she doesn't. She had nothing to do with it. She moved, she got rid of the guy. Well, like, what else do you want her to do? She had a legitimate job. This is what the judge wants you to do when you go before a judge. They want you to turn your life around, get away from that lifestyle. She did everything she was supposed to, according to what we know. Yeah, but she was involved using her house. But it wasn't that house. See, okay, that was before when she was dealing with the other guy. What you're saying is true, but you got to look at the timeline. She was involved with him when they were doing whatever it was, but it was at a whole different address. And I think it was like a year ago. You know what I'm saying? It was a year difference. So what happened is dude got busted and the police knew. Look, they didn't move to another town. They stayed in the same place, in the same town. She just moved. She said, okay, he's gone. She went and had another boyfriend. That's the guy who shot at the police. And she completely changed her life. So you can't tell me if you had a girlfriend and your girlfriend was some type of whatever, and you was helping her with it, kind of. You were supporting her in some kind of way, but it wasn't enough to call you a felon. You were like, and then when she gets caught, you're like, nah, you was the one that was really scamming. And they take her out, and you're like, you know what? I'm leaving this house. We were scamming out of this house. I don't want the stigma on me. I'm leaving. I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm gonna go get a whole new girlfriend, change my life. And then they come bust in the door and shoot you 28 times. You need to tell me that's justified? After you left, you got a new girlfriend. You're in a whole new place. You're not scamming. You're not doing anything anymore. You completely changed your life around. You got a whole different relationship. You mean to tell me that you deserve to die for that? No, the answer is no. Absolutely, you don't. You don't. And then they were in the garage. After it was all said and done, they were in the garage trying to get rid of evidence. These guys went to a judge. And listen, it's pure evil. They went to a judge, the one guy who set this all up. What he first did was he wanted to gather evidence because you can't get a warrant without evidence. So what he did was he went to the post office, and this is going to dispute what you were saying. He went to the post office and asked the people who run the mail to her house that she currently lives in and says, listen, are there packages going in and out of this house? Now let's just dissect that. One, why did they go to the post office? Because that's what they were doing before. That's how homeboy got caught. Because they were going through the post office, and a lot of people do that. That's actually a federal offense. Okay? So that's probably how they busted him the first time. So they were just like, okay, we're going to go back and ask the post office, hey, is this happening at this resident also? And they said, absolutely not. There are no packages going in and out of this resident. With that information, should have been case closed. If you want to, watch what they're doing, set up a DT outside of their house or something, not a big deal. But that right there was enough to say it's not going on. The post office said it's not happening. There's no packages going out of it. They have record of what's going in and out of that house. The person from the post office doesn't know Breanna, has no reason to lie to the police and indict themselves. That was it. He went to the judge and said, the post office guy said there are packages going in and out of this house. Now, here's another thing. Why would you even have to go to the post office? This is what I'm saying. You already caught the guy who was doing it before, who she was dating. Why wouldn't you just go ahead and put a warrant on him and arrest her while she was going to work or something? I said there's a warrant out for your arrest. Stop her. Whoop whoop. There's a warrant out for your arrest. Boom, that's it. And then after you arrest her, you put her behind bars, then you get a warrant for the house. Why didn't you do that? Why was there no warrant for the dude who was living in the house with her? If she was still into all this, why was there no warrant for her and there was no warrant for the guy who she was living with? Because the whole thing was fabricated. You know why they really did it? Money. Because police, when they bust drug dealers, scammers, they keep the proceeds. That's really what the whole thing was about. That's why they told a lie. Forfeiture. That's really what was going on. They were trying to bust in there because they thought she had a bunch of money in there. And what they were going to do is go in there and rob her. That's what they do. They take the money, they take the evidence, take it down to the police station. They don't count it all out, and/or some of it goes up missing, and it happens all the time. It's the same thing they're doing if you're driving on a certain stretch of the highway and the cop pulls you over for some miscellaneous arbitrary reason and then ask you for your license and then say, get out the car, you're making me nervous, or I smell weed, or something like that, and they put on the nice voice for you. Hey, I don't want to do this, man. You were were smoking. Hey, everybody smokes. Or, where you going to? So where you from? Oh, yeah, I've been down there too. Yeah, it's cool down there. Got family down there. Okay, so listen, this is just what we do. Want to know, can I search your car? It's not a big deal. Just take me a few minutes. And you go, absolutely not. And they're going to go, okay, we're going to go ahead and call the dog. They call the dog. The dog doesn't make a hit on your car because there's no weed and there's no drugs in your car. And they ask you before they do all that, they say, do you have any weapons or money or anything in your vehicle? And if you say, yeah, I got $10,000 in there. And they go, okay, where's it at? It's in the trunk. Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the dog. They call the dog, they pop your trunk, they take your money, and they ask you why you have it. You say, I own a business, a shoe company or whatever. It's not illegal to travel with that money, but according to them, they're allowed to take the money under suspicion that the $10,000 is being used for drug trafficking, even though you have no evidence. And then they tell you to go ahead and try to fight it out in court. Most people don't get their money back. $68 billion have been lost to the police because they're doing this. It's robbery, pure robbery. Some people get some of their money back, but the majority of them don't get any of it back. And then when you do get some of it back, you're out you're out $5,000. You're out a percentage just for traveling and being a good citizen. This happens every day. Yeah, the forfeiture, they're seizing your money. They even do it with small businesses. They even take your money right out of your account. The federal government takes your money right out of your account. And you're like, why did you take $20,000? Because of the way you deposited it. Well, how was I supposed to deposit it? It's a small business. You know what? They don't see that money. Or if you travel with it, if you fly, the same thing happens if you're flying. Boom, they take it then. They go, I don't believe the story. I believe something else is going on. You have to fight it out in court, and then you'll lose in court. That's really what's going on. That's what happened. They went there thinking that there was a drug dealer in there or whatever he used to do, but they already knew that there wasn't. So they surmised that she got involved with another guy who did the same thing. And I bet you a dime to a dollar, if we look at the case of the guy who they caught first, who she used to date, if we go back and look at that case, I bet you a dime to the dollar that they got a bunch of money out of that guy. When they broke into that guy's house, I bet a dime to a dollar that there were thousands and thousands of dollars in there, and they confiscated it. I think that's exactly why they made it, they fabricated everything, all the evidence, and this is what got their ass in the sling, because they told a lie to a judge, and the judge signed off on it. That is a federal crime. They violated her rights now. I don't think they're going to go to jail for murder. Just because she ended up dead, I don't think these cops are going to get 25 to life, which anybody would. I think they're going to get 10 years or 5 years probation. 3 years, they're out on good, good behavior. Even if, listen, I don't think Amber Geiger's going to do 10 years. She got 10 years. How many years probation did she get? I don't think Amber Geiger's going to do 10 years. Not one damn bit. I think these guys might do 3 years just to save face for us and say, yeah, those cops got what they. No, those cops need to go to jail for 25 to life. That's what they need. 25 to life, just like if it was me, they would send my black ass to jail. I would never get out of jail. They need to send them 25 to life, hands down. It was premeditated. And that's what makes it worse. Listen, this is murder one. That's what this is. It's first-degree murder. If you and your homies planned on busting into somebody's house with mask on, guns, you went in there and blew somebody down, and then you went to the court system isn't going to go, well, you committed a federal crime. Federal crime is You violated her rights. Yeah, let me try to figure out what right. She did have the right to know that you were coming. No, they're going to go, that's premeditated murder. You meant to do it. You're going to go, we didn't mean to kill anybody. They're going to be like, that's hogwash. You went in there loaded. You had intentions. There were 5 of you, and there were bullet holes all in her body and through the apartment. So, yeah, you're going to go to jail for life. That's it. It depends on what state you are. You might get, hung for it. So, no, I have no sympathy for these police officers. They went in there to rob that woman, and they knew that they were wrong. And there's no evidence that Breanna was actually committing a crime. Because, for one, they'd been to her house, the other house that she was at, with the other guy, but she has no record. She has no felony. If we go by a lot of people's logic, they're gonna, she was involved with him. Then what's her record? Because that's the first thing they do when they want to smear you. They want to bring up something that you did that's on record that proves that you're a criminal, so people have less sympathy for you. So they went to her boyfriend and said her boyfriend a year ago was a drug dealer and he did this out of the house. That's what they did, and everybody goes, oh, it's okay then, because he was a, drug dealer, even though he's locked up for it, and you're aware that he's locked up, so you are aware of her and her new boyfriend. You know his name. You know what her boyfriend does. You've been trailing him. You've been trailing her. You've been watching the house. You've been watching the house. We know you've been watching the house because you knew it was her house. You've been watching the house, which also makes it aware that it's the wrong house. It's so obvious. If you're watching the house days, weeks before you're going to go into it, you're aware of the address. So the truth is, you wouldn't even have to ask the post office, is there packages going in and out of her house? Because you would have surveillance showing that there's packages going in and out of her house. The post, listen, I just got a package of tennis shoes. Post office or FedEx or UPS or whoever it is, they leave it right outside of your house. They would have staunch evidence to show that there was packages going in and out of this house. And it looks just like what was happening at the other house. It's just so many holes in their game. And why did they try to cover it up? Right after the shooting, they're in her garage trying to cover up the evidence. Why did they try to, if these guys were doing their job, why did they try to cover up the evidence? If they're on the side of good, why did they cover up the evidence? I just, for the people who sympathize with the police, I'm just like, I sympathize with good cops. I don't sympathize when a Black woman loses her life for nothing. Look, if you want to get somebody and say, oh, they're still doing something, then prove that they're doing it. If her and her new boyfriend was doing something heinous, then prove it. Prove it. They can't prove none of it. They even the cop who got shot tried to sue the man for protecting himself. They tried to sue him. Like, are you kidding me? You blew my woman away and you're trying to sue me. It's so outlandish. It's just a shame. I hope all those cops go to jail for at least 25 life. I hope it sets a precedent. That's what I hope it does. Because there's not one thing that leads up to this woman dying. It could have been a traffic ticket, pulled over, boom. I'm going to tell you something. I was in about a half an hour from here. I run, equipment, stuff. So I travel all over, within an hour, maybe 2 hours of where I'm at, to different people's homes and cities. little townships to pick up, appliances. And one day I was going to get my truck looked at. There's a place about 40 minutes or so from here. Little small town, you know what I'm saying? Mostly white people, poor white people, average, some farmland, nice houses in some areas, but farmers, so average backbone Americans. And I was rolling through their little city, and then the street got blocked off. And I was like, ooh, like, wait, why is traffic being stopped? They raided a house, and you can tell it was a no-knock. You can tell it was. You can tell that these whoever they were raiding them for drugs. It was very, very clear because the police rolled up really silent, and they all got out in tactical heavy gear, all of them. And then the big boys rolled up with the big truck, the armored truck. They were expecting some bullets to go flying. They had on all green with the helmets and everything with the big old, that. They weren't beat cops. They rolled up with the big thick padding on the front and the heavy joints. Yeah. You know how many people died? None. They rolled up to the house, told them who they were, opened the door, come out. And they didn't even yell. It wasn't like, open the door, come out, blah, blah. They rolled up, boom, silent, went to the door, timed it, boom, police, come out. And that was it. And about 4 or 5 people came out the house, had their hands up. They didn't throw them to the ground and beat the hell out of them. They all came out just like this. They took them. They didn't pin them to the ground. It was the most quietest thing you ever saw. It was like they were taking them to church. They put them in handcuffs and they led them away. That's it. Was it? We even had a situation like that out here. One of my neighbors. Yeah, he was into something. I spoke to his woman today. He was into something. Them boys came to see him. And they rolled up to his crib, knocked on the door. He saw who they were. They put him in handcuffs, and I ain't seen him since. And that was last summer. That was it. This was a robbery. This was not going after a criminal. I know the difference because I've seen it before. I even know personally some people who this has happened to. Well, I knew them years ago. This was a robbery. They were going in there looking for contraband. They were looking for drugs, and they were looking for money. That's what they wanted. They wanted the cash because they can take the cash and split it amongst themselves. Whenever you see these no-knock warrants and they're going to the wrong house, that is not an accident. They know the person's house that they're going to because this person is doing something that's illegal. This person is known to be on the street. Even though this person has no warrant out for him, this person has no felony, the judge is unaware that of this person, they say it's for somebody else, and then they go to a completely different address because they know that that person has been doing something that, and they might have accumulated some monies, and or they have something against that individual. They're after them for so. This is the same thing gangs do. They're after that person for some reason. They wasn't after Breanna Taylor. They wasn't after her boyfriend because they already had the boyfriend who was doing stuff in prison. He's already locked up, and this was a completely different address. They were trying to rob her. And it got out of hand because they didn't expect to get shot at. When one of them got shot, they all went crazy. And then they tried to cover it up. And now the DOJ has looked at the case again, and they're going to look at Sandra Bland's case too. Those cops who killed Sandra Bland, they're going down. DOJ is going to look at this case. They're going to look at a lot of other cases. They're going to look at a lot of no-knock warrant cases, and these cops that have been killing these people who've been committing the civil unrest. These cops, their days are shortened. They are going to be facing time. Their wives and kids are going to be boo-hooing and trying to say that these are good guys. No, these are devils. These are the reason why America is topsy-turvy. And here's the thing, like the Alton Sterling case, those guys too, they said they were going to kill him before they killed him. What kind of policing is that? Alton Sterling legally had a weapon. The same thing in Minnesota. Look, there's so many cases that are going to be reopened because, and I'm going to tell you something else. What's his name's case? The guy got shot in front of his wife and kid. He's sitting in a car and he says, I have a weapon. It was like the cops ask this all the time. Do you have anything in a car I should worry about, like weapons or drugs? And the guy said, yeah, I have a weapon. I have a legal, I have a right to carry. And he asked where the weapon was. And he told him it's, legally stored or whatever. Boom, he gets shot. He kills it. The cop shoots him after that. Right in front of his woman, and the whole thing is videotaped. She was videotaping. The little girl in the back was, you can't do that and get away with it. You may get by, but you're not going to get away. It's going to come around and it's going to bite you in the ass. And this guy, I shot him because I feared for my life. How? People are legally allowed to have weapons. And I'm going to tell you something else. Recently, especially in the state where I live at, now, to carry a weapon, they even softened up the laws on that. And for you to carry a weapon here, you don't, remember you have to, when you carry a weapon, the ammo has to be stored in a different place than the actual weapon, right? This way you just can't load up and then start firing. Oh, they changed that law because one of my neighbors has weapons. And I was like, yo, what's up, homie? He's like, what's up? I was like, what's going on? He's like, I'm about to go sell my weapon. He was like, yeah, they changed the law now where you don't have to have your weapon separate from the bullets. You can actually have everything together in one in a chamber, ready to go. I was like, it's going to be the Wild Wild West. So if the police are worried about their life from somebody having a weapon, then why would they change the law and allow that? And you know what? That law, to me, was made to protect the police. It was made so if the police come up and say, hey, how you doing? Do you know why I stopped you? Bang, that doesn't happen. If the person's legit. But now you can ride with your weapon. Bang, right here. That's it. It's just, something's not right with this picture. Why would the police allow that? Why? Why would the police, if the police are so afraid, why would they allow that? I don't get that. Hey, what's going on, Rashida? How you doing today? Yeah. So I think that they're gonna go after a bunch of these cops who've been getting away with just killing people, because okay, so the knee-jerk reaction. Okay, let's go back to Alton Sterling, who got killed in Louisiana. When Alton Sterling got killed, somebody called the police on him because he was standing outside of a little. Yeah. Love your show, Rashida. You're a funny woman. But Alton Sterling got, yes, ma'am, I do my best. Alton Sterling got killed. He was okay, this is something with Alton Sterling, because he was standing outside I don't know, where you can go and get yourself something to drink, some chips, and I don't know, bodega, whatever they call those. And the owner, they were uncomfortable with him standing out there. Now, Alton Sterling was a registered carrier. That's for one. You know what he was doing while he was standing outside? He was selling CDs. I used to do the same thing. I used to go to the club and stand outside of the club and sell my CDs. my poetry CDs, my music CDs, and I that's how I hustled. So when I saw Alton Sterling do it, I was like, well, that's just what we do. That's what he was doing. He was selling his CDs. The police were called, and before the police got there, it was recorded that they said that they were going to kill him. I'm going to shoot him. Because they said he had a weapon, which he did. So they got on him, and when they pinned him to the ground, his arms were wide open. And they took their weapon out. They had him like an iron cross, and talking to him the whole time, and then bang, 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 shot him right in the chest. That was the most painful shooting I ever saw in my life. It still hurt today. I made a video about it because it hurt me so bad to see that. He wasn't even saying nothing. He was just laying there, and they murdered him like they slaughtered him like a pig. Like a pig. I'm telling you, that hurt my whole spirit. When I saw that, I was like, because I saw me. I'm a black man. That's what I do. I hustle for mine. I drive all over town hustling. I flip refrigerators. I do this to hustle. I do that to hustle. I'm Alton Sterling all day. If I got to stand outside of the little meet and greet and pitch my CD to you, that's how I hustle. This is America. That's what we do. We hustle. And this man was protecting himself. He had the proper license to carry. And you mean to tell he's standing out there at night in Louisiana? It's not the safest place, but he needs to eat. You mean to tell me I'm going to die because I'm doing everything according to the rules, and I'm going to die by the people who made the rules? Listen, when Alton Sterling died, Black American men saw it, and there was no way that we looked at the police in the right. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us try to figure out what the person who died did wrong. We don't go, oh, we hate the police for this. We try to figure out, how did you provoke the police? That's what any sane person will do. What law did you break to make the police kill you? What law did you break? We looked at the Alton Sterling. You can see every inch of what happened to Alton Sterling, and you can listen to the police before they even get there. They already had in their mind that because he has a gun, I'm going to kill him. And they kill him in cold-blooded murder. And you know the reaction to that? A couple of years later, which this happened last year, a Marine, a black man, a Marine, remembered what happened to Alton Sterling. And he traveled like 6-7 hours to go to the same town that Alton Sterling was killed in. You know what he was doing? He was looking for the police. He didn't care who it was. He was any police. And when he ran into some, he opened fire on them. These were innocent police, had nothing to do with nothing. They weren't even the ones who killed Alton Sterling. They were just police. He killed 3 cops. He killed 1 black and 2 white cops before they killed him. And he was skilled. And it's on film too. He was skilled in what he did. He hunted those cops down, and he left a manifesto. And his manifesto pretty much read, I did this because of what you did to Alton Sterling. You think the Department of Justice doesn't know about that story? They know every cop that died and why. They know about that story. Somebody committed 3 murders against cops that had nothing to do with anything, and one of them was a black cop. Wait a minute. Now, if one of them was, if all 3 of them was white cops, it'd be like it was racially motivated. No. One of them was a white cop. 2 of them was a white cop. One of them was a black cop. What does that tell you? This person did not care. He was hunting police. That's what he wanted. And in a lot of these cases where the police are just walking away after they're committing open murder, they're just murdering people like it's nothing. You got people who are going, we no longer trust the system. We no longer trust the Department of Justice. We don't trust the judges. We don't trust the people. We're tired of people getting online and sympathizing for the cop after they commit these murders. We're done talking. We tried to explain it. We tried to sympathize with the police. If somebody's out there doing wrong and you gun them down, okay, we get it. If a man pulls a gun on you, you have the right to defend yourself. But Alton Sterling was laying there on his back. He said absolutely nothing, and you killed him. You murdered that good man for nothing. Nothing. And then you tried to smear him and tried to cover it up and then walked away like it. No, somebody's going to pay. Now you have citizens who no longer care about the justice system. You know how dangerous that is. So if you got, listen to how it's going. You got that event plus other events, the events in Minnesota, bunch of events, and then you have the defunding of the police because of what happened to, Derek Chauvin in the guy who he killed. Now you got people coming out in droves and saying defund the police. Bunch of police officers no longer working. The Eric Garner case where, they put him in a chokehold and kill him and then tried to say he died of asphyxiation. Yeah, because you killed him. And then and none of the officers went to jail. Everybody's like, it's not just another black man. No. There's hell to pay now because now people are saying screw the system. And if you get people that out of control, where they're saying, the hell with the system, the hell with the police, the hell with the rules. We're all out for ours. It's anarchy now. We're all out. We don't care anymore. Now you got men, women, and children being robbed broad daylight. You got people being shot and killed. They just shot a guy at McDonald's over fries. His mother got into an argument with the McDonald's guy over some fries, and his girlfriend handed him the banger, shot him right in the neck. Couple weeks ago, same thing happened, except that girl died. In a McDonald's, you shot a McDonald's worker. Do you know the level of idiocy that is out there on the street right now? Like, people are not thinking with the full capacity. This is what happens when no one trusts the system. When no one looks at the police and says, you're going to save me. No, when people look at the police and go, you're the enemy, this is what happens. Anarchy. That Alton Sterling case helped break down the building blocks of society. It wasn't even a crack in the armor. It was a gaping hole because it was all seen. This Breanna case, same thing. People don't trust the police. They're not going, oh, the police are here to help me. No, people call the police because they can't call anybody else. And all the good cops, and the thing about it was the 3 cops that died because of the revenge of Alton Sterling, we don't know if they was good or bad cops, but let's just assume that they were good. We all know that they had families. They died for something they weren't even involved in. They weren't even involved in. Who else died for something they wasn't even involved in? Breanna Taylor. She wasn't even involved in it. You understand what's happening? The cops are out here taking innocent lives. The people go and start taking cops' lives. If the cycle continues, of course, the cops are like, fine, you guys want to play this game? We're going to start taking more of your lives. Well, then you start looking at the number and you got to figure out who is there more of? Are there more ants or are there more grasshoppers? The answer is there is more ants. The grasshoppers are trying to keep the ants corralled and under some type of rulership. Well, guess what? The ants are figuring it all out. They're like, no, you can't tell me what to do because You guys are not upholding your part. You're not going to sit up here and tell me what the speed limit is. You're not going to say that I can't do this and I can't do that when you guys are breaking the very law that you're supposed to be upholding. You guys are doing stop and frisk and you know it's illegal. You guys are asking for IDs when you know you're not supposed to be out. And then you're using fear tactics. When somebody's recording you, you guys are breaking their teeth. That's what they did to a woman. She asked the cop, can you please, move out of my parking lot? Those cops literally broke that woman's teeth. They broke her teeth. Small ass woman slammed her face to the ground just because she wanted them to move. They broke her teeth, dog. This woman is screaming, these cops are on top, and then they tried to say this woman came out. And she recorded the whole thing. No. See, these cops have broke down the system. And the good cops are now in a line of fire. And when they get expired, we're supposed to feel sorry. But when you constantly do this to people over and over and over again, and the Department of Justice allows it to happen, now you have anarchy. Now you have little old ladies getting robbed. This is what's going on now. They're breaking into these old people's homes. People have no respect. No one is safe because the cops aren't doing their job. The good cops may be doing their job, but we can't tell the difference because the bad cops are getting away with killing people. And the good cops should be like, boom, you got to go. No, that's not what they're doing. They're hiding these people. When investigation comes, they're helping, falsifying documents. They're hiding these criminals who are making their jobs hard. And then they get caught in the crossfire. It's like, it's hard to feel sorry for you when we know that this guy, listen, they got this one cop. I forgot what township it was. This cop was in 8 shootings. 8 shootings. The cop that killed Tamir Rice is getting hired in Pennsylvania. He's from Cleveland. All he did was drove 2 hours. He is a cop on another force in Pittsburgh. Do you understand the idiocy behind that? You killed a child and they justified it. It's why we don't look to the DOJ anymore. We don't go, yeah, we're going to fix this. We're going to go to the... No, you killed a child. A child. And you justify it. And we're supposed to be like, oh, yeah, you guys are for the... No, the system is broken. It is torn down. You tore it down. And you left these people out here to fend for themselves. Just like you did in Louisiana when the damn hurricane came through. The Black people who needed help saw the police officers and was begging the police officers for help. And the police officer said, we're only here to help our own. Meaning they were only there to help white people. So when you constantly do this and you leave people out there on, listen, there are 40 million Black people. 40 million. Okay? You may think, oh, we can just go and corral. Listen, there would be a lot of dead people if you did that. This place will be turned upside down. You may think it's easy like it used to be. It's not. It's not. It's not that way anymore. It's not that way anymore. You can bring in a National Guard and do whatever, but there's a lot of us that are on the National Guard. Not to mention, there's so many mixed races now that America is more, they're in fear of their bloodlines being mixed. This is what the abortions are all about. Abortions are not all about we want to protect the babies. They don't No, they need babies to be born. They don't give a goddamn about the women. They need more white babies because the world is becoming mixed. It's becoming darker and darker and darker. There are people who are finding out that they're 13, 14% black, and they look just as white as anyone. And a lot of them are racist, Ku Klux Klan members. Then they go and do that, 21andMe or, Ancestry.com, find out their great-great-great-grandmother was darker than me. They're like, how did this happen? Well, because she was getting banged out by the master. Or she was going to die an early death. And she had children with the master. Those children were half and half. Those children were just like, screw that. I'm not going to go get somebody dark skinned. I'm going to go and, kick it with the white dude because my life would be easier and my children's life would be easier. The white dude was like, sure, I'll take some, little bit of chocolate with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. You still built like a black woman. I'll take that. Boom. The baby comes out. The baby's 1/4. Next generation, which are your parents, you don't know that your mother is freaking 1/4 black because she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. You don't know that she's 1/4 black. She does the same thing her grandparents did. She gravitates towards a white person. Boom. She gets herself a white man. You come out, and now you're 13% black. It's just simple math. Except you look very, very Caucasian. And your father and or your grandfather was very racist. Hated black people. But they didn't know that it was already there. You even have black people who are racist against black people. That's what the whole brown bag thing was whenever you went to an all-black college. If you were darker than a brown paper bag, then you could not get into that college. Kid you not. I went to an all-black college. You still have racist people at all-black colleges. They don't like dark-skinned people. You can run, you can play football, you can play sports, but that doesn't mean that they like you. That means that you're bringing them in money so they tolerate you. But as far as liking you, they'll always like the light-skinned person more than they'll like the dark-skinned person. That's just the way America is. And that's what happened. Everything is cyclical. All the stuff that happened within the last 5-6 years, it's all coming back around. And if the Department of Justice doesn't do something, listen, the Department of Justice doesn't want to go back to the days where the MOVE people were trying to separate themselves. They don't want to go back to Seneca Village. They don't want to go back to Black Wall Street. That's not what the Department of Justice wants to do. They don't want that noise. Why? Because of trading. Other countries know what the Department of Justice did to black people. And they don't want to trade with you if you keep up these heinous crimes. They don't want to trade with you. You already got small countries going, why are you killing black people? They're doing that today. Why are you killing black people? Well, when you have presidents, these are presidents saying this. When you have presidents saying this, listen, why are you killing black? They don't want to trade with you. And you may bully them or set up some type of embargo or cut off their visa, or anybody who's trying to enter into America, you can harass them. You may do all of those things, but eventually the hatred spreads. It doesn't hide its face. Other small countries will figure out what you're doing too, and they'll just hate you. Listen, there are some countries that Americans, we can't go to and be comfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable. Because they know that if you're American, it's going to be a bad deal. I went to France, and there was a guy there as black as me. And the woman I was with is black, dark skinned just like me, except he was, French. But we're all African descent. But when the guy at the, who was serving us at McDonald's heard us, when he introduced himself to us and said, how can I help you? We spoke to him in English. The French guy heard us speak English and started speaking French to the dude behind the counter. The dude looked at the French guy and they had an argument because we were speaking English. Do you know why? They hate Americans. He thought that we were jipping the line. He was like, why didn't you help me first? We didn't have to understand what he was saying to understand what he was saying. He was upset and the guy was like, they were next. He suggested like, what do you mean? They were next to the counter. But this guy, the French dude, thought, I'm a citizen of France. I should come before them regardless if they were next or not. You see what I'm saying? That type of, it's intense out here. It really is. Because other countries, when they see how Americans treat Americans and then they have this arrogance about, they think we all know. I'm not arrogant. I don't go, well, I'm American. I'm arrogant. No, I don't have that privilege. I don't. That's what I'm saying. It's all coming back around. It's all cyclical. These murders that they're committing, it's all coming back around. And these police officers who think they're going to get away with it, they're not. Even the ones who are doing sneaky stuff, there are a lot of them who are doing sneaky. Like one officer just got a black officer. He was involved with, a lot of shootings. He was doing a lot of dirt, falsifying records. They finally caught up to this dude, and they knew he was doing wrong. They finally had to bring the hammer down on this guy because he was setting up the whole department to look at. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Officers don't know that they are standalone complexes. What an officer says, what an officer does, you are a standalone complex. You may think that badge, those tattoos, and who's ever whispering in your ear that it's okay to kill men, women, and children, you may think you belong to a group, but you do not. You do not belong to a group. Look at that dude, Eric, that black officer who went off and started killing white officers. And they found him up in the mountains. Look at him. You understand why he got mad. Yeah, he got mad because the officers turned on him. He was just like, wait a minute, I'm one of you. So he was like, Eric Dorner. He's like, all right, fine. This is the way you guys want to play it? Boom. He went and shot and killed one of them. And then they hunted him down. And while they were hunting him down, they shot 2 black women. Because they said that they were in the truck that looked like his. He didn't look like a woman. No, they were mad at black people. I'm trying to tell you, all these shootings, especially now, look at the Uvalde case. How did that kid get $9,000 worth of equipment if he was poor? I can't afford $9,000 worth of guns. This kid was supposed to be poor. $9,000 worth of guns. You get to the shooting and you're, using hand sanitizer in the hallway while this kid is blowing away kids. Everyone saw this. Do you think that they have faith in the police? No, they don't. No. Listen, if the police lose their validity, if they can no longer control the masses, it is a bad deal. And if you roll those tanks out and do like Tiananmen Square, you're going to turn this place into a powder keg. You'll have a civil war, the scale of the whole nation. And you may think that, all the white people are going to band together and, go against the black people. That ain't never happened. There was always somebody white sympathetic to not killing black people. Always have been, always will be. The people you think are with you, they're not, because they are not interested in war. They're not interested in blood. They're interested in justice. And the reason why they're interested in justice is because they want to feel safe in America. They know what it's like outside of these walls. Go ahead and travel and see what happens. Travel, just try to travel. Go to the Middle East. They're scared of when they see a white man in the Middle East, they're scared of you because they hate you. But they know you're going to bring them howitzers with you. You destabilize the whole Middle East. Do you think they blame black people for that? Just think about that. Do you think they blame black people or Hispanic people for what happened in the Middle East? No, they don't go, we hate black people because they came out here and tore up millions of us. Men, women, and children just landed bombs on us. Black people didn't do that. They don't like black people because they just don't like black people. Because the European nations have taught everyone to hate us. That's it. Everybody hates black people. But they don't hate us because we are the harbingers of war. No. They know who that is. They know who's flying them big ass Hueys. They know who's flying them the jets and the drones, and who's sitting out 100 miles out with rail guns. Black people don't own rail guns. We don't own big ass warships. Black people don't even have a standing army. We don't. They got lasers now that's blowing people away. They got weapons of sound that will just... Black people ain't doing that. Black people don't own any howitzers. We don't own tanks. We'd be lucky if we get a horse. You do got black cowboys out there who got a horse and a revolver. That's as far as we're going. We don't have tanks. We don't have Sherman tanks. We don't got that. The Middle East was destabilized by white people. That's it. That's it. Russia is not at war with us, black people. Germany did not go to war with black people. They're not. Listen, if China goes to war with America, they're not going to war with black people. Like, name one war that we started. Just one. Name one war that black people started, kicked it off. They're not mad at us. They're mad at white people. Because white people build bombs that can destroy the whole planet. White people go and steal people's oil. They're mad at us. So yeah, this whole thing is going to come all the way back around, and America is going to be destabilized. This whole thing with money and finances is just going to make it worse. There are people who are stealing and killing at such an alarming rate now that the young people don't even see how they fit into society. Listen, the younger generation are not waking up and wanting to go to work. They're not waking up and going, I'm going to go to work at McDonald's. When I was younger, I used to be like, absolutely, I'm going to go to work. Listen, I worked at Rats. I worked at Arby's. I worked at Ponderosa. I worked at TGI Friday. I couldn't wait to get those jobs. Making my little $3 to $5. These young people ain't trying to hear that. They're setting people up and stealing whatever they can from people. Purses from old ladies. Some people aren't even making it to the next day. That's what young people are on right now. You know why? Because not as many police are out there. They're running into Balenciaga shops and taking the whole rack down. The whole rack. Running up into the Apple store. Snip, 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 and the people in the Apple store are just standing there watching. Now they got police at the Apple store. They're gonna have to have police at the listen, even if they have an armed guard, it's not gonna do any good. They're gonna have to have an actual cop with a rifle at the Balenciaga, at all these fashion, these high price fashion places. They're getting robbed for everything they have, and it's nothing to them. It's not even scratch to them. It's something to the retailer though, because they're probably, a small operation just selling nice stuff. But these kids, these are not adults running in here and doing this. Adults go into the Walmart and steal out of the Walmart. Those are adults stealing meat out of the Walmart, the little Piggly Wiggly. They are kids that are stealing $200,000-$300,000 worth of stuff in one. That's their job. And there's a syndicate of them. If you look at San Francisco and look at the crime rate in San Francisco, I was looking at an excerpt of what was going on. Listen, they have them going into these shops. They target these shops, right? Bunch of them go in there and take stuff out. Next day, they target somebody else. Next day, they all belong to the same syndicate. They're all talking to each other. They're organized crime, 30, 40, 50 to 100 of them. And then they're organized over different cities. This is not a small thing we're talking about. You got to understand, there are so many people who do not want to go back to work after you kicked all these people off their jobs. Listen, you told people that if they don't put poison into their body, that they can no longer work here. You had professionals. You kicked them off their jobs that they studied for years. Doctors who were like, I'm not doing it. Nurses who were like, I'm not doing it. It took them years to get with her. They had to pass all of your tests, all of your training. They had to eat cheese. Some of them had to do stuff they didn't want to do. They did all this just to work, just to save people. And then you treated them like they were nothing. And you kicked them off their job. And some of those people got arrested. And you said, we're not even going to pay you, for losing your job. We're not going to give you any type of support. You left these people out there on their own. Everybody saw it. That only happened in America, just to let you know. You had other countries who were paying their people. This country, complete opposite. So you have the younger generation who saw that and said, we're not going to work for anybody. If you have a nice watch on, we're taking it. You have a nice car, we're taking it. Organized crime is up. In the San Francisco alone, they said we don't have enough police officers. And we're talking about in the nice places in San Francisco. In California, the homeless rate is ridiculous. There are so many people that are homeless that there's feces everywhere, and it's actually causing a medical issue. You see how bad it's getting. I saw a video, and the guy was in. I think he was down in. Was it Fort Hood? It was one of those forts he was near. He's at a Walmart. All the meat in the Walmart was gone. Do you really think this generation is going to go to work after you let them down in every single area? How many of these kids have been shot and killed by the police, and the police have gone home to their wife and kids? And everything is televised. Everybody's seen it. These kids don't trust the police. There's been a breakdown in the system, and the Department of Justice doesn't fix that breakdown. If they don't go after the people who've been committing these murders, if they don't stop smearing these kids, they're kids. They can't vote. They're high schoolers, middle schoolers. If they don't go after the officers who've done this and set a precedent, set a good example, then these kids, this generation that's coming up, will never listen to them. It's all about the span of control. They will never, never, never listen to these police officers. Remember when you used to respect the police officers? You don't do that no more. You fear the police officer. The police officers try to intimidate you at any way possible. Police officer used to be the one you went to and you felt safe from it. Now you're afraid to. You're afraid to be around a police officer. You used to call 911 and think something was going to get done to the person who's doing something to you. Now you call 911, you think something's going to get done to you. Something's going to happen to you. If somebody in your family has a mental breakdown, you call 911 because you figure the police can get them in the car, get them to the hospital, and get them some help, and things will be better. That's what happened to my stepdad. He had a breakdown. They called the police. Police came and got him, put him in the back of the car, took him somewhere until he got better. Ish. He ended up killing himself later on. But nonetheless, the police did your job. They didn't kill him. And he was wrestling with him, but he wasn't trying to fight with him. He got in a car with them eventually, and they took him away. And he got better, and he came back. Well, the police were just called on a woman in Atlanta who's having mental issues. Young woman, too, not even 30. Well, the police took her, put her in handcuffs, put her in the back of the car, jumped in the car, was going down the street. The door of the back came open. The woman was not handcuffed to the bed of the seat, nor did she have a seatbelt on. She came flying out of the car while they were going down the street. They finally noticed that their car door was open, turned around and found out the woman is half dead on the side of the road. They went back to her, picked her up, and act like nothing happened pretty much. But she never responded again. When she hit the ground, she went into a coma. She never came out of the coma. She went to the hospital and died later, about 8 days later. This just happened a week ago. We don't trust the police. We fear the police. You don't look at the police with respect. The police can even come to this neighborhood. You don't go, I feel better, there's a police. You think the police are going to come here and shoot somebody. The police don't look at me with respect. They look at me and try to intimidate me all the time. They're not my friend. Very few of them I'll have a conversation with, and if I don't have to talk to them, I won't. Even the black ones. I think they're starting with the Breanna Taylor case. But I think it's going to go all the way back about 5 years. And they're going to wrestle up a bunch of these police officers, and they're going to punish them. For real. I even think they're going to reopen the Darren Wilson case. When you look at the Darren Wilson case, he legitimately told an 18-year-old and his friend to get out the street. They didn't want to get out the street because that's what they do. I still walk in the street today. That's what we did as children. We walked in the street, wait till the car go by, walk right down the street. Why? Because it's what we did. We didn't like the sidewalk. I still don't. I don't like how uneven the sidewalk is. I like walking in the street. I do it every day. Michael Brown was walking in the street. He was told to get off the street. He didn't want to do it. Wilson got upset, opened his car door, hit Michael Brown with the car door, and Michael Brown pushed on the door. They got to wrestling. Michael Brown finally gave up and got on his knees after the officer got out and put the gun on Michael Brown's head. It should have been over right there and then. He could have arrested him. Fine. He's 18 years old. He has no felonies. What do you want to give him? Simple assault? Okay, give him simple assault. He hit your door. No, the police officer shot Michael Brown while he was on his knees with his hands up. He was in perfect surrender. The gun is for excessive It's as if somebody is ready to kill you. That's what your weapon is for. He shot Michael Brown through his eye. Downward. Michael Brown stood about as tall as a police officer. If he would have shot him this way, bang through the eye, that's a whole different story. You might have said he was still in confrontation with you. But everybody saw Michael Brown on his knees with his hands in the air. You shot him when he was on his knees with his hands in the air. How much more surrendering do you want him to have? You pointed the gun at him and shot him more than once. But the first one went through his eye. He executed Michael Brown. And all the smear campaign you want, Michael Brown stole Swishers. He stole this. Listen, you got people out there who are stealing millions and millions of dollars. You got people out there who are killing police officers and they're not dead. You got people out there who are stealing all kind of stuff. They are alive. They are apprehended. He shot Michael Brown through the eye. And then he shot him more than once. And then they let Michael Brown lay in the street for hours. They wouldn't even let the ambulance come and get him. They wanted to show force. They wanted to show fear. Nobody thinks the police is on their side. It is all about fear. And that's the biggest problem here in America. If you're not protecting me, then I have to protect me. And if I have to protect me, I'm going to protect myself from anyone. That includes you. You're coming into houses and shooting the 8-year-old girls. You shot a 15-year-old boy in Chicago and blamed it on you slipping and your finger slipped and hit the trigger of your AR-15. And the boy was in his bed. He was in bed. You broke in his house, came up the stairs, boom, saw a black kid, and you shot him. That kid was just laying in his bed. He's minding his own business. He was doing what kids do. He's 15 years old. You killed him. You did the same thing to another boy in Chicago, except you shot him in the back of the head and killed him. Then tried to say he was you tried to spin the whole thing. You shot that boy right in the back of the head, a 15-year-old kid. See, those days are coming to an end. Because we as Black people can't reel these cops in. We can't. But what we can do is say, we can't be a part of this system anymore. We can't keep ignoring the fact that you keep doing the same thing. We don't trust you. And our young people don't trust you. And you can come and you can do all the heinous crimes you used to do to us and see if you can get away with that with them. You can come down here and you can spray up everybody and leave blood in the street. Hope that makes you feel better, but you're still going to be held accountable for it. You're not getting away with anything. You're just getting by. You're going to have to pay for that. Now, the real question is when do you want to pay for it? Do you want to pay for it now? Do you want to pay for it later? That's what the real question is, because our numbers aren't getting any smaller. Even though you poison us, you take our children, you kill our children, you separate our families, you kill our mothers, you rape our mothers, you're doing everything. You kill the fathers, you put the fathers in jail. None of that is stopping our numbers from growing. Because when a Black man and a Black woman get together, they can have up to, 10 to 12 to 14 litter. Easy. And this is despite the poison that you're putting into the air, putting into our food, putting into our water. Our genetics are so strong that we can filter that stuff out and still have a bunch of children. You got more people growing their own food now than they don't trust the system. We don't trust you anymore. You got more people who stop eating meat. They're eating plant-based diets. That wasn't happening where I grew up. You couldn't tell me and my family we're going to eat strictly plants. There are whole families now. There's a whole movement. People just eating plants. They won't eat any beef, any pork, none of that. They're not eating none of that. Chickens, none of that. Maybe fish, maybe. You got a whole span of people. We're going to eat nothing but vegetables. Maybe some fish, some rice, some carbs. We're going to grow it ourselves. Yeah, more. Just go on TikTok and look. You got a bunch of gardens out there. And those people are hooking up with each other and feeding each other and fighting all kinds of diseases that they couldn't fight before. This is happening right now. Why? Because they no longer trust the system. They know that the same people who sell cigarettes are the same people who sell food. The same people. They know this. They know that there is a lot of food that if you go to other countries, those other countries have banned that very thing that we're eating. Very thing that we're eating, that we eat all the time. Other countries, nope. They banned it. Skittles, banned. Some countries will not sell that food. Won't sell it. Little biscuits that you, in the can, you bust open and you put in and they rise up, banned. Banned in some countries. Because they know the same people who make cigarettes are making the food. They bought out these food companies. The system's broken. So you have a bunch of people who are trying to be as independent as possible. And you can come and shut those people down if you want to. But all you're doing is adding more brokenness. You're not trying to fix anything. Look at what they did to the farmland just recently. Look at the videos on the farmland and how they destroyed the farmland. And then they went to the farmers and said, we'll buy your land. We'll give you money for this land. Look at what they did to the cows and the turkeys. 3,000 cows dead in one night. How did that happen? How did 3,000 cows die? No bite marks, no gunshots. Dead. How'd all those turkeys die? This just happened. Who killed all those turkeys? So what are you forcing me to do? You're forcing me to grow my own food. I can no longer depend on a grocery store. I saw a video where that guy was in the grocery store and he was like, look, there's no food here. You can't depend on them. So what do? You have to be independent. You can't keep looking for a job and people keep telling you no. Now you got to go out here and you got to sell something that people want. You got to start tinkering with cars or fixing refrigerators or, some type of skill. You got to get some type of skill. You got to be independent. You got to say, you know what? You won't let me work at your hospitals. You won't let me work at your grocery stores. You won't let me work in your, sweatshops or whatever you got going. And then the people that work at these places, at these car shops and, Kellogg and all that, you told them that you told them that they have to I can't even get it out. They have to work more hours for the same pay. And you made that mandatory. That's what happened in 2020. You said, you guys got to work more hours, but you'll get the same pay, which means they're working some of those hours for free. Look what did they do to our teachers? You have one teacher who just went viral because he says, I make more money working as a manager at Walmart than I do as a teacher. I was talking to a lady the other day, and I told her, I said, I thought about becoming a substitute teacher. She says, I can't do it because these kids are so disrespectful. Look at these, the teachers were getting sued, threatened. Some of them are getting raped and killed, dead. And one guy killed his teacher. The Uvalde guy killed 2 teachers. Listen, a news report, he says, I used to be a teacher. He said every teacher that I knew had a side hustle. They worked 2 or 3 other jobs just to teach your kid. I used to date a teacher. I used to date her. She would be at her job at 12 o'clock at night, setting up her room. She would do this all the time. By herself, the school's closed. I'd be like, where you at? She'd be like, I'm at school. And she has a husband and 2 kids. She used to go and put her own money in there all the time because she couldn't get supplies. She was teaching like kids that were like 10 years old, 6, 7 years, 8 years old, putting all that work into those children. Now you have a bunch of teachers that said, you know what, forget it. I'm done. You got teachers who are tired of being hit. Teachers 40, 50 years old, we can't keep up with. Listen, I'm a strong person, but I can't keep up. You see that 14-year-old that they showed? This guy could go to the NFL right now. He's 14. Big black kid. Big kid. You think if I was this teacher and he stood up, you think I'm going to be like, yeah, me and you about to fight? I'm going to be like, nope, it's not about to happen. I'm tell you that right now. You need to go ahead and sit it on down, or you can go ahead and leave class. And if he doesn't want to leave class, then I'm not even going to call the principal. I'm going to call the police. And I'm going to tell them that this kid threatened me. And being that the police are not your friend anymore, they don't play with kid gloves anymore. You see what they did to that little girl who didn't want to leave class when the teacher told her to leave class? That white cop came in there, told that girl it was time to go. She popped attitude with the police officer. He took that little girl and he slung her out of there. Grabbed her like this, picked her up, yank! Like she was nothing. Police ain't playing with you. I'll be like, okay, you big, you tough, I'm calling the cops. I'm not having it. This is why people don't want to be teachers anymore. Kids are coming to school with guns. Teachers are getting caught in a crossfire. Now you got teachers who got to carry guns. I don't want to go to school carrying a gun. I want to go to school and teach. I want to see the kids' wheels turning in their mind. I want to hear them ask questions about history and science and, and war and peace and politics, how the world works and what to expect. I want to mold a future and guide kids to be, great citizens and great leaders and great prospects all over the world. I want to send somebody across the water and have them write to me when they're in college and tell me about their adventures. And when I can't teach anymore after 40 years of teaching, I want to hear from some of these kids, or I want to see, what they became, and I want to see their children, and, and that's what teaching's about. I want to see so-and-so playing ball or so-and-so giving a political speech. That's the beauty of teaching. That's why teachers are there. They don't get paid a lot of money, but they want to mold the future and watch kids do well. Now you got teachers who are telling your daughter she could be a boy, and dressing up your grandkids. Your grandkids are going to school and they're coming out with a dress on. And these teachers, they're so confused at what's going on, what's right, what's wrong. And you're like, how is this possible that my child, who is 5 and 6, they don't know their ABCs, but you want to tell them that they could be the complete opposite sex of what they were born and tell them it's okay? Absolutely not. This is the problem in the world today. And listen, this isn't America. When you go outside America, this is not happening. You can't go into Brazil and go, every woman in here can be a man if they want to. Do you have people who are trans in Brazil? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the trans tell you that they're trans. They don't play that game. They tell you that they're trans. They're like, yeah, I'm a guy, I want to be a woman. I'm trans. It is what it is. I have a schlong. What do you want to do? People are going, it's cool. But they don't go, you need to address me, and, you need to tell you. They don't go, you need to tell your little girl she can be a guy. They don't do that. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. You don't go to Brazil and the trans are going, hey, your little girl could be a little boy, and we demand that you call him a they, them. You're not getting that. You're not going to the favelas with that nonsense, because you're not coming out of there if you do. You will get your ass broke down. You're not going to Africa with that nonsense. Africa ain't even having that. One of our presidents found that out, Obama. He went over there to push the gay agenda. Them Nigerians told him absolutely not. The president told him absolutely not. We're not accepting it over here. You're not going to come over here and turn our men into women. No, we need all the men to be men, and we need all the women. And then they went over there and started asking some of those questions. Do you think a man can be a woman? They were like, absolutely not. A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and that's where they stand. See, it's only here in America that you can dilute the water and get away with it. Soon as you step outside of America, as soon as you get on that boat, you get on that airplane, you take that train, you drive into another country, wherever that you're going to go, however you're going to get there, everything changes. Those rights you think you have, you no longer have. You don't have. You go into some of these countries and become a slave. There are over 700,000 slaves in Africa right now. Why? Because we destabilized it. We killed Gaddafi. What's Libya doing right now? We killed Gaddafi. We went into Iran. We invaded Iran. You got all those Africans who are trying to get to European nations so they can get some type of rights. Outside of the European nation, it gets rough real quick. But here in America, they can come up with all this nonsense just so they can go after your children. That's really what's going on. They want your kids. They want to do heinous things to your kids. They want their minds to be warped. That way, if they take the man out of the equation, they can get to your children. That's what's really going on. So this is why the man is shamed. This is why the woman is the boss of the house now. Try that in the 40s and the 50s and 60s. Woman ain't never been the boss of the house. All of a sudden, the woman's the boss of the house now. All of a sudden, the man is some type of simp. Once he gets married, that man becomes a cuck. Another guy can bang his wife in his bed, and if he says anything, that wife is going straight to the courthouse. She's going to take you for your pension, your kids, your house, your everything. She's going to raid you. And she's going to leave you with nothing. And if you marry another woman, she's going to sue that woman. If you get a raise at your job, she's going to sue you for the raise that you get. If you hit the lottery, she's going to sue you. If your stock goes up, she's going to sue you. And get away with it. Because that money goes into the American system. Some of it goes to her, some of it goes into the people who are helping her get that money. This is why you have so many men who are out of work. Because they're hiding their money. If you go to California or San Francisco and places like that, the men who were messing around with kids and all that stuff and went to jail for it, and then got out of jail, you know where they live? They live under a bridge. A woman messes around with kids, goes to jail, gets out, you know where she lives? She lives in a nice house. There is a whole community of men only living under a bridge. A bridge. In tents. You don't believe me? Look it up. Not a single female to be found. All men. Same crime, men get punished. But I'm trying to tell you, it's about to be crazy out here. When you do this to the men, when you take all the noblemen out of a system, that system breaks down. All this stuff with the schools going after these parents who want to teach their kids the right way. My son is a boy. He is a boy. He's going to be a boy. He does what boy things do. Those people are being called some type of terrorist. These parents, like the school board's going after these parents for doing it. My daughter is a girl. She's a girl. She's going to be a girl. She does girl things, and that's it. They're going after them in saying that you can't say that to your child. This is happening right now. Parents cannot say that to their child because they want that child to be able to say, I want to be a girl and or I want to be a boy. It's my choice. No, it's not. No, God made that choice for you. God says this is what you're going to be. Dang, that's what you are. And it's my job to raise you as such. Biblically, this is what you are. This is how you should act. And you're going to act accordingly while you're in my house. And nobody can come into my house and say that you can't. Well, they're like, well, we're backed by the government. So we'll take your child. We'll come to your house with the police and a clipboard and politely knock on your door. Mr. Jameson? Yes, it's Cindy here. We like to speak to her for what reason? Then they'll give you some cockamamie story. But it all added up to you said that your little girl is a girl and she's going to stay a girl. And that's it. And that's all. And they're going to come right into your house. And they're going to ask that little 6-year-old some questions. And they're going to deem that she is being taught wrong. Once they do that, there goes little Cynthia. Pick her up. They're going to have a female caseworker. That female caseworker is going to pick her up. Those 2 officers are going to stare you down. And those 2 caseworkers are going to walk right out the door with your daughter. And those 2 officers are going to dare you to do something. They're going to hand you some papers. And that's it for Ted. Now you have to go through a legal system just to even see her, let alone get her back. This is what's happening now. Right now. They're going to put her in some type of foster care with a bunch of other kids who had perfect parents that love them. And they're going to put it in their heads that they are free and they can be whatever they want to be. And they're going to dress them the opposite of what they were born. And they're going to have them do things that do not coincide with what their sexes usually do. They're going to have them going into bathrooms that are of the opposite sex and tell them it's okay. And they're going to have adults using the same bathrooms at the same time. And they're going to tell the kids that it's completely okay for these adults to be in here with you. That's what they're going to tell them. That's what you're doing. That's what go to your local grocery store and look on the bathroom door. If somebody is trans or cross-dressing or whatever, they're allowed to walk into the woman's bathroom. Why are your kids in there? You want to talk about a fast way to die? And like there's, I will do time for that. I'll do it with a smile on my face. I will do time for that. Real quick. And think nothing about it. Not one, I will not regret it. Not at all. This is what's happening right now. The Department of Justice is going to have to come with the business, and they're going to have to alienate themselves from what they used to allow. They're going to have to cut off all of these officers who did their dirty work. Listen, the emperor never cared about his soldiers. He only cared for what they could do with him. Do for him. That's it. He didn't even care about his citizens. He lit Rome on fire. Hell, he helped starve Rome. They were starving. That's the reason why the Black Plague ate them up so good. And he was the second richest man in history. I mean, just imagine that. These rulers have no love for us. They don't love us. They don't care about us. The DOJ doesn't care about us. They don't care about the police. The police take this oath and I don't even know if they're aware that you're actually supposed to be voted in. I don't know if listen, I bet a dime to a dollar if you went to a police officer and say, who voted for you to be a cop? The cop is going to look at you and go, what? I bet money on it. I bet money, you go to 20 officers, you're going to get 20 of them to say, I don't know what you're talking about. An officer hasn't been voted in since 1949. Officers are supposed to be voted in by the people. And they're supposed to have 3 forms of ID that they show you. Supposed to. You can't tell me one time when you had a transaction with an officer or interaction with an officer and he showed you 3 forms of ID right off the bat. You can't tell me you did. You cannot tell me you did. You can't say, I was driving down the street, got stopped by a cop, and when he stopped me, he said, do you know why I stopped you? And you go, no. And then he said, I stopped you for this reason. And then he said, let me show you my 3 forms of ID. My badge, my card, and whatever else it is. Just so you know that's a real police officer. No cop does that. They immediately try to take control of the situation and start using fear tactics and Gestapo tactics. This is what they immediately do. These are not police. They're not. And the DOJ is going to have to reel in their attack dogs. And they might go ahead and euthanize them. Listen, they might go ahead and just, spay and neuter them. But some of them might end up losing their life. Let me make a prediction. I predict that a cop who is in one of these racial killings, somebody like Darren Wilson, who is no longer on the force, Amber Geiger, Derek Chauvin, one of these cops that were in these high-profile cases, I predict that one of them ends up dead pretty soon. Either in jail or on their way to jail, one of them's going to die. We'll give it 2 months. And it's going to be televised. And I say 6 months later, another one's going to die. And it's going to be all over Fox News. Then maybe 9 months later, maybe shorter than that. If you want it, for frequency, if you want to keep up fear, you got to use frequency. So I say maybe another 2 months, maybe not even that. The next month, another one dead. And people start asking questions, why are all these police officers dying? To send them a message. Queen Elizabeth used to kill her own subjects, just to cut their heads off. This is how the Pilgrims got here. They fled from Queen Elizabeth. The Golden Age Queen Elizabeth, who everybody raves, oh, the Queen. No, she was cutting off people's heads. That's how her cousin died, too. The Queen ordered her cousin's head, chop, chop, off, and watched it. The Department of Justice doesn't care about police officers. They only care what they can do for them. These Roman Praetorians are only valuable if they're hyped up with muscle inducer and told to go and kill. But once that job is over, they're no longer any good. They're not good to sit around because they're only good for one thing, killing. So you can't have them sit around because they're dangerous. They're not controllable. So what's happening? A lot of these officers, they're not controllable. They come off of some of these wars. They still think they're at war. Then they come here and they start shooting up people. Well, it's all fine and good until, the rabbit gets the gun. People start shooting officers. Nobody wants to stay within a crosswalk. Nobody's stopping at the red light. People are blowing through red lights, causing accidents that are killing white babies. Now we got a problem. You killed two white teenagers, boys. Are you out your damn mind? They're dead. Dead. That didn't really happen, but I'm saying it's the knee-jerk reaction. Now it's spilling over to middle white America. Now it's spilling over to Paradise Lost back in the 80s, where Miami was set ablaze by cocaine. They had to cut that out. Why do you think the Coast Guard is always touting about how much drugs that they stopped from coming into the country? Where are you getting that from? Coast Guard is always putting herself, yeah, look at what we did. These guys were coming in through the port of Miami with these little drug boats. We stopped them. That's what we did. Millions of dollars worth of drugs, all these drugs. We did that. You did that. Because at one time, America was pretty much bankrupt. And who did we get to get us out of that bankruptcy? The cartel. Happened in the 80s. We borrowed money from the cartel. You know where we get some of our oil from? We love oil, don't we? You know where we buy our oil from? The cartel. They steal it out of Mexico, and we let them come right across that, right across the little bridge we got down there, trying to stop people from coming in the border. Oh, no. When they see them tanker trucks, those tanker trucks come right on in, and they sell us their oil. We fund the cartel. Kid you not. They're getting the money from us, the American government. You don't believe me? Look it up. Look it up. They tap those pipelines, they bring it right in here, and we buy it from them. What you're seeing is all smoke and mirrors. What the Coast Guard's doing, it's all smoke and mirrors. They're putting up it's a play. This is what we're doing. We want everybody to think that we're stopping these big drug dealers from coming in, and it's like, no, you're not. What you're doing is you guys are all in this play. That's what you're doing. Yeah, all this high-powered equipment and all this other stuff that makes us think that you're doing something for America. And it's actually for white America. In order to make you look useful. But the truth is they can get that stuff into the country whenever they want to, because you allow it. The CIA allows it to happen. There are stories on it. They're the ones who set up these people. They're also the same ones who bring them down. Saddam Hussein, CIA. CIA. Gaddafi, CIA. CIA. The dude who supposedly did 9/11, CIA. He's actually an American. Well, his grandchildren are. They all live here in America. Bin Laden, his grandchildren live here. They're architects. So why, when 9/11 happened, that they went and rounded up his family and took them out of the country? Oh, this guy's the enemy. He just killed more people than in Pearl Harbor in one fell swoop. And you went and got his family, put them all on a plane, and boom, took them out of. Come on, it's all a lie. It's all a game. They're architects. You thinking there's these raggedy people living up in the mountains of Kabul, eating rocks and whatever grass they can find? Not even close. Where do you think Bin Laden got his army from? Where did Taliban come from? Us. They were trained by the CIA. Yep. And when they outlived their youthfulness, what happened to them? Bin Laden died because they said he was going to invade a country. And they said he had weapons of mass destruction. Went over there, we found no weapon of mass destruction. Millions of people died. Went over there, got rid of them. What happened to Bin Laden? We supposedly sent SEAL Team 6 over there to slaughter him, killed him, and then took his ashes and spread them into the sea. Bin Laden is still alive. But anyways, for giggles, he's supposed to be dead too. What happened to Gaddafi? Gaddafi wanted to make some changes. And America was like, no, we're not having that. Where's he at? Gone. Killed him too. All set up by the CIA. Dead. Killed him. Done. It's all smoke and mirrors. Same for these cops. These cops, listen, you're not in a good position. You've been set up to fail. You can do their dirty work. You can serve their blood gods all you want to, but when you die, those same people, those same gods who you served are going to turn on you. Then you're going to see the God of heaven, and he's going to ask you why you did it. He's going to look at your tattoos. He's going to look at your affiliations. He's going to be like, well, none of those people are here now. It's just you and us. You and all of these angels who don't like you. Because you were ripping people off. You were raping people. You were killing children. You were killing black men. You were telling lies. You were falsifying documents. You were stealing money. And you thought you were going to get away with it. You were only getting by. The police officers, you're in trouble. The bad ones. The good ones, keep doing what you do. But for the bad ones, you're in big trouble. The blood is on your hands. That's why you don't do it. You don't mess with blood. Because there's a whole higher purpose when it comes to blood. You don't do it. There's always a toll to be paid. Always. And you don't want to pay that toll. They set you up. Some of them are going to see it in this lifetime. Some of those police officers are going to lose their lives. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And when it does, I'm just telling you, it's going to happen. It's going to have nothing to do with black people. Anyone to blame. That's the beauty of the whole thing. You go, you do their dirty work. You set this precedence of fear. You try to keep the people in control. And then when it gets so out of control that your military is divided. Listen, it's so out of control that Donald Trump stopped the military from coming to help the vice president. He set up a coup, and the military was in on it. $56 billion goes to the military each year. The military did not want to send help to the White House. Drink that in. If they would have got to Pence, Pelosi, and arrested them, what do you think those people would have done? They would have slaughtered them. You see how bad it is? Now they're trying to sue Donald Trump. They cut him off of Twitter and cut him out of a lot of money, and they're going after him. But they're not going to imprison him. But the thing about it is, what Donald Trump did was he exposed America at its rawest form. If you look at everything Donald Trump did, he kept doing it. He talked to the Germans and all the other, people, all the other nations, and he talked to them like children. He talked to people who were threatening our nation. He talked to them like children. He made it very... Donald Trump told the Taliban, the leader of the Taliban, he said, listen, let me explain something to you. See, because the Taliban asked him, the leader of the Taliban asked him, why did you send me photos of my house? Donald Trump said, I'll tell you something. If you kill one more Marine, one more soldier, any American, I'm going to blow up your house. I'm going to blow it up. I'll tell you right now. This is what Donald Trump said to these guys. Donald Trump told Germany, if you don't stop relying on fuel that comes out of Russia, you're going to be in a world of hurt. What's happening now? What's happening in Germany's fuel right now? They laughed at him when he said that. Not so funny right now. The war in the Ukraine was never over something that the Ukraine did. The war in Ukraine is over wheat. The Ukraine is one of the top suppliers of wheat. That wheat is traded worldwide. If you stop the wheat trade, you starve people, especially in smaller countries. Why is there a food shortage now? Because there are, listen, when Russia went to war with the Ukraine, what did America do to Russia? They sanctioned them. When you sanction somebody, you tell them that they can no longer do business with anyone that you're doing business with. Which means whatever comes out of your country, you can't get money for. So the first thing they did was they stopped their ships from trading. They kept their ships at sea. They would not let them come into port. You have to understand, when Donald Trump was in office and he got mad at other countries, he stopped their ships from coming into port. This whole thing has been playing out for years. Now, the wheat trade, you have to understand, everything is cyclical. This world, the food you eat, it's all ran on a clock. Everything is a piece of a pie. If you take one of those pie pieces out, then it's like Django. If you remove something, something bad's going to happen. That's what the war is about now. We thought it was over the Nazis. We thought it was over a river. No, it's all over food. And also, you think Warsaw Pact and NATO are against each other. They're not. They're working together. Right now, there are a bunch of ships at sea that cannot come into port because they're trading wheat. All of a sudden, we had 3,000 cows dying in one day. Why? You have to understand, they're trying to starve out the people, which makes us codependent, which makes us come back under what? Control. This whole thing has happened before. You know when? During the Roman times. The Romans, the city of Rome, at one time had 1 million people in it. It was growing larger and larger. During the Black Plague hit. Of course, they didn't know how the Black Plague actually got there. Well, what happened is the Black Plague came in through ports. It was spread by rats and pigs. That's how it was made, but it was spread actually by mosquitoes. How it got into Rome was it followed the trail of people. So if you have carts and people walking in and out of Rome, the mosquito bites somebody, that person comes into the city, infects the city. That's how it got in. But why it was so effective is because during that time, Rome was getting wheat from Africa. Follow me. Wheat makes bread, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? The Roman emperor at that time did not want to be emperor, so he left the job up to his best friend, who at the time the Roman emperor did not know his best friend secretly wanted to be emperor. So he was like, you be emperor, I'm going to go and do my own thing. Well, what he did was once he took over, the place of the emperor, which he wasn't really the emperor, what he did was he told the people who were bringing wheat into the city to stop. He said, I want you to take the wheat and put it in my own coffers. So they stored the wheat in his coffer. What happens when the people can't get wheat? They can't make bread. They can't make soups. They can't make a whole host of other things. They started to starve. He knew that the people were starving and they were getting a black plague. If your body cannot fight off something, it dies faster. So people are dying because of the black plague is taking them over faster than usual because they're starving. This guy saw that this was happening, and what he wanted to do was wait till it reached its apex and then say, go into my coffers, there's a bunch of wheat, and then he would be seen as the hero. But he got found out before that happened. Once they found out what was going on, they told the emperor. The emperor put a knife into his side and then threw him outside with the people. The people tore him from limb to limb. The point is, wheat is and always will be valuable. And if you take the Django block of wheat out, you stop it, you slow it down, you make less of it, you blow it up, you burn it in fields, then there are other things that are going to be attached to it. And it all adds up to death. People need wheat. This whole thing is just a play that's been happening before, and it'll happen again. I've been talking for 2 hours. You want to look up anything that I said, go ahead, feel free. Look up all the ships that are not coming into port. Just recently, I think it was a week and a half ago, Putin had to make a deal with the Ukraine to stop firing on the Ukraine at one of their ports. You know why they wanted to make that deal? Because one of their ships had wheat on it. They were like, let us get this ship out before you burn it up. It was like, okay. Look at where the blockades are. Just look up the blockades right now and see where they are and see why these blockades are there. They're there to stop ships from porting wheat. That's what the war is about. That's why you should start stacking your food. Don't necessarily go out and get bread, but I would go and get rice, something that's easy to make. And if you can, get yourself something that's some non-perishables, soups, beans, and stuff like that. Chicken in a can, something that's protein that you don't need to eat a lot of, and your body will be okay. Because the meat is gone in some of these grocery stores. I was just at the grocery store. The one I was at looked fine, but I know when I start seeing that one go out, and that was just the nice Krogers. When they don't have enough, and I start seeing things get low in there, I know that it's time to stock up your storage unit. If you don't have one, get one. Get yourself a couple barrels and put food in it. Make sure the barrels are made for that type of thing, because you can just get an ordinary barrel. Next thing you know, it'll be filled with mold and roaches and rats. So get the ones that are made for it. Yeah, prepare for the worst. The war's over wheat. Boy 212, God loves you, so do I.